As a responsible person with growing concerns for your privacy and personal liberty, you want to know where we're headed and what you can do about it. We ask the experts what you need to do to take prudent and responsible action to safeguard your family's wealth and well-being, and what basic first steps will help you to be aware and prepared. ReluctantPreppers.com.
Welcome back, Reluctant Preppers. Tonight's guest takes being aware and prepared to a futuristic and uniquely personal level. He is developing the ability for individuals and their doctors to predict and map their personal medical treatment needs and responses with unprecedented acuity. Jason Flowerday, the founder and CEO of 3D Signatures, Inc., a novel personalized medicine company with a proprietary software platform based on three-dimensional analysis of a patient's individual chromosomal arrangement or signature, is enabling personalized treatment of disease and success monitoring of drug effectiveness. He's here with us on Reluctant Preppers to talk to us about this novel twist on being aware and prepared. So, Jason, thank you so much for joining us here on Reluctant Preppers.
Thank you, Dunning. I'm looking forward to speaking to you and your audience.
I was mentioning to you our mission, which is to help our viewers be aware and prepared, and it struck me that, in a sense, we're in very different industries, but really the same mission of helping people be aware and prepared. So, tell us, how does 3D Signatures improve people's awareness and preparedness for increased survival and well-being?
Dunning, until you put it to me in preparation for our discussion today, I hadn't really thought of it through that lens. But, when people's health is compromised and they're struck with cancer or Alzheimer's disease, the areas that we focus in, it's really about having the right information and the right tools. And that's critical to outcomes, being as positive as possible. So our company's technology is designed essentially to get patients in what are really dangerous situations related to their health, the information they need to make the right treatment decisions. So current standards of medicine, they really don't do a particularly great job at personalizing the treatment for individual patients who are in those dangerous situations. So 3D Signatures is focused on developing precision diagnostic tests, really, to personalize treatment for individual patients. It means getting the patient the right treatment at the right time and hopefully getting them out of a dangerous situation. And it allows us to develop the tools that really help a patient make the right treatment choice, whether that's a patient with prostate cancer or a patient with lung cancer or breast cancer. Really, that's what our company is focused on, and interesting application to your audience.
You mentioned a couple of diseases, but what's the full range of conditions and diseases does your technique address and you expect to be able to help people with?
3D Signatures technology has been developed and validated to quite a high degree across 13 different cancers and Alzheimer's disease. And so the same data pattern that we analyze has been consistent in every disease that we've looked at. So our core focus is on 6 really high priority diseases, Dunnigan. They range in sizes, and some of them affect large populations, and others are quite niche and rare. So something like Hodgkin's lymphoma, a very challenging blood disorder that affects about 10,000 patients each year in the U.S. But prostate cancer is a massive danger in an area that we're really trying to change medicine in. Multiple myeloma, another very challenging area that our science is particularly robust around. Lung cancer, breast cancer, and really not last but least is Alzheimer's disease, for which there really is no cure today. And we hope to be able to advance the personalization of treatment for patients in lung cancer in the not too distant future. But in each and every one of these cases, there's a critical unmet need with respect to decision-making information for the patient. And there's a significant economic benefit to the payers. So healthcare companies and hospitals and other insurance providers can benefit from getting the patient the right therapy they need and not sort of stumbling through a whole bunch of ineffective options.
For people who have been aware of biotechnology in the past, it sometimes seems like there's such a long on-ramp till something becomes viable. Can you talk to us about any proven examples that you may have yet, or is everything you're doing still in the concept and research stages?
No, we're really quite advanced for a relatively young company. So most people are familiar with developing pharmaceuticals, drugs, prescription medicines that are regulated by the Food and Drug Administration. And a product like that generally takes 5 to 10 years, and from $500 million to $1 billion to get through clinical trials. What we're doing is very different, and it moves much more quickly. So our leading 5 or 6 diseases, we anticipate that they'll come to market at various stages over the next 1 to 2 to 3 years. So Hodgkin's lymphoma and our test to really help steer the treatment for a patient with Hodgkin's lymphoma, we believe is 12 to 18 months away from being commercially available through partners in the United States, in Canada, and we hope in Europe and beyond as well. So it's relatively a short time frame in the biotechnology and the diagnostics field that 3D Signatures is hoping to lead.
I want to bring a question a little bit home to our audience who think about very upset or crisis type conditions that they might find themselves in, where they may not have access to all the usual resources that are usually available in our modern medical system. If people's access to modern medical system became disrupted by any major emergency, how might some awareness gained from your technique prior to the interruption assist them in managing their treatment through such a crisis?
So, Donegan, what's really interesting and disruptive about what 3D Signatures is doing is we're blending data, and we're blending a library that grows over and over and over as we analyze more patient samples and data. And so we're really an information company to a great degree. And in principle, if you're dealing with a dangerous or crisis situation, in this case, one's health, seek as much information as you can. And so always gathering information and being able to compare that and search against other relevant sources of data and libraries is powerful. And we have that in our immediate vicinity. So I think it's important to understand that one size fits all treatment simply doesn't work any longer. And that's where 3D Signatures is leveraging its investment in data and building up its database as we move forward through all of these various diseases.
Why is the technology you're developing different? How is it different from conventional diagnostics?
Where 3D Signatures is different from conventional diagnostics is at least twofold. We're not trying to change the way patients are diagnosed in terms of being identified or screened for having a particular disease. We're really focused in coming in right behind that key step and guiding the personalization of their treatment. So what our technology is able to do, Donegan, is to look specifically deep inside a patient's cell, specific structural arrangements inside that nucleus, inside of a cell. Will they tell us how aggressive that cancer is, how aggressive that Alzheimer's is, and what's the most appropriate treatment that's going to benefit that patient? So in that regard, we're extremely different and very novel in the field of diagnostics. But let me take you back to the point that we're doing it by building up a large database of information. And so we're combining very sophisticated lab techniques with a powerful database. And those two together is a very powerful differentiated platform that we don't believe exists in the marketplace today.
Are there any other companies out there studying this 3D signature or 3D telomere analysis as you do?
The development of 3D telomere science has been led by our company, and it's a really unique combination of high-powered microscope work, looking deep inside the nucleus of a cell, combined with a proprietary algorithm and software for each of the diseases. Those two together are incredibly unique, and to the best of our knowledge, 3D Signatures is alone in the development of 3D telomere analysis, and the receptivity that we are getting in folks we're talking to, whether these are leading scientists or oncology doctors or investors, is incredibly positive. And so we're feeling quite bullish.
You're describing a very advanced technique and advanced technology. If it's that technology driven, is your intellectual property well protected? We talk a lot here about protecting our assets. So how are you doing that for your company?
Of course, that's of tremendous importance and a big priority to us. And so We have very strong IP in place. The intellectual property that we have is very secure across North America and Europe, and we look to expand that to other markets. It's a combination of the uniqueness of the way in which we analyze that structure inside of a cell, combined with proprietary software algorithm. And then we've been able to layer that across so many different diseases. So from all points, I think we've put up some very high walls that lend to it being very secure. But again, it's also very unique. And 3D Signatures is regarded as the leader in this field. And so we feel confident about the protection of our IP.
You've mentioned earlier that there are currently no effective treatments for Alzheimer's disease, but yet how does 3D Signatures plan to help real people in this difficult case?
Certainly Alzheimer's disease is, a crisis that has probably affected, somebody close to all of us. The way in which 3D Signatures can really, we believe, shape the future of Alzheimer's disease is that we've been able to demonstrate quite simply from a cheek swab, so just from the inside of your cheek, analyzing that tissue tells us deep insights around the level of Alzheimer's patients have. And so we've been able to stage or categorize patients, Dunnigan, into having what's called mild cognitive impairment or mild, moderate, and severe forms of Alzheimer's. That's really powerful information for a lot of different groups. Pharmaceutical companies are trying to find patients appropriately staged to bring into clinical trials to evaluate new drugs and hopefully find a cure to change the course of Alzheimer's. So it has tremendous application in that regard. But as well, once these therapies are developed and they're brought to market, we think the technology can be used to really evaluate how is a patient improving and is their 3D signature, it's called, changing. Is the drug having the effect, and can we see that effect by simply analyzing that tissue as they stay on the drug over time? So we think it has tremendous application and can bring a lot of value to patients and clinicians and very large pharmaceutical and biotech industry.
If it's so high tech and so cutting edge, it seems that business execution is going to be really critical to making a real impact in order to really get this technique accessible to people. Does 3D Signatures have a scientific and business team that's really proven and capable of building such a successful business?
We're really fortunate over the last 5 or 6 months to have focused significantly on building out our senior leadership team and our clinical and scientific advisory board and our business advisory board. So once the company went public in 2016, it had the capital to then bring on board experts and leaders who have the business development and corporate development skills we need, and as well have the clinical and scientific expertise. And so we've brought these groups together, had deep and very fruitful discussions in meetings, evaluating the science and the priorities the company should be focusing on, and how we can bring these tests to market as soon as possible, and where the partnering opportunities rest for us. So, the science is incredibly well developed, and we've had the luxury now of building around that science the expertise to execute it. And it's all an executional play now. And that's what 2017 will be about, with a number of really important milestones ahead for us and for our team.
Can you talk to us just for a moment about the brief history of your company so people can really understand the facts of your profile better?
Absolutely. 3D Signatures is a company that, despite only being a public company, so traded on a stock exchange for the last 6 months or so, it's been built up over 20 years of science. And the team behind 3D Signatures has invested more than $25 million of grant money and industry money to build the R&D and to build out the validity of the science across these 14 diseases. So we've published several clinical trials, 20 or more trials now. We've evaluated and built up a library of more than 2,000 patients that have these 3D signatures that we've been able to correlate to our database and make very accurate predictions on the stage of their disease and what therapy was appropriate and beneficial for them. And we've published more than 130 clinical papers in journals that have been reviewed by experts, that have been challenged and critiqued. So it's really held up and continued to build a strong scientific following over the last 20 years. So it's particularly robust and now increasingly accepted new class of biomarker. And really that's the field we're in, is bringing a disruptive universal biomarker forward. So that really in a nutshell is the history of where the company has been and where we're heading.
For those who are interested in finding out about more, where would you direct them so they can dig in a little deeper?
So we do have a website, and our website is www.3, that's the number 3, dsignatures.com. And for those who follow financial markets, we're listed on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the symbol DXD.V. So I encourage anybody to access a robust website with much more information than I've had a chance to share today, and happy to field any questions if they ever come up.
Well, often we will get comments and questions underneath our videos from viewers. So any of our viewers who have questions, feel free to leave them underneath the interview, and Jason will be able to keep an eye on that. We have been speaking with Jason Flowerday, the founder and CEO of 3D Signatures, Inc. Jason, thank you so much for joining us here on Reluctant Preppers.
Duncan, thank you, and I appreciate your time, and I hope this was helpful for your audience.